And welcome to one of the few distinguished evening events that we have this year for the Space Studies program at the International Space University. So today, it's a real pleasure, real honor to welcome Ramon Bulling, who is a world-leading expert on cross-industry innovation. So we were lucky to get him. Typically, his schedule gets booked like months and months in advance. And we're really lucky to have him with us here this year to share with us some of his insights about innovation, collaboration, finding different intersections between different industries. So Ramon is also a keynote speaker, he's an author. He published 3 different books. There's an example of one of his books here. It's a very fascinating book, it's very easy to read. And he has one of the coolest titles also. It's titled Idea DJ. So that's kind of cool. Nowadays, actually, everything is cross-industry. One time, actually, somebody asked me, what is the coolest innovation that happened in the aerospace industry? And actually, that doesn't exist anymore. So an innovation in the aerospace industry is an innovation for the oil and gas industry, it's the same thing for the medical industry. So all the industries across the board, they are interconnected. So an innovation or technology, a lot of them can use the same thing as well. So one of the cool things about this presentation is you can hear what industries are struggling with in terms of how do they harvest innovation, how do they create creativity in their environments, how do you deal with failures, how do you tackle problems, can we learn from the success from one industry to another, can we learn from the failures, can we prevent the failures from happening here. So this is all in the realm of cross-industry innovation, and tonight you'll be able to listen to some of that stuff by Ramon. So please help me give Ramon a warm round of applause.
All right. Good evening. All right. Now, who of you wants to go to space? All right. The majority. That's good. That's good. That's ambition. It's cool to go up to space. It's also very cool to bring stuff from space back down to Earth. NASA has the technology transfer program to do just that, bringing innovations from space back to Earth and to commercialize them. And also the UK Space Agency just rewarded a £4 million, 5.3 million US dollars, award for people teams, task teams, ID generation teams to bring innovations from space into healthcare. So here you see an MRI or CT scanner in this case, bringing it back. It's a nice article on Fast Company. Healthcare needs more rocket science. And not only healthcare needs rocket science, virtually all sectors need rocket science. That's also why we're here, International Space University, cool stuff. But we're actually here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the most important invention for humans to actually be faster and more efficient than animals. And I'm talking about the bicycle. I'm Dutch. My name is Ronald Willings. Maybe my name will put you on the wrong foot. I'm Spanish, but not, I'm Dutch. So I love bicycles. This is Van Moof. In Dutch, Van Moof, if you would say it in English. And it's a pretty hip, popular, relatively new bike company. They started in Amsterdam, which is courageous. Why? You're here in the Netherlands. What happens to bikes in Amsterdam? They get stolen. So it's pretty brave to start a new bicycle shop, or bicycle brand in this case, in Amsterdam. And these are pretty expensive bikes, and this is an electric bike. They go from €2,500 and up. You can easily buy a bike from them for €5,000. That's interesting. Launching bikes in Amsterdam. Who would buy such an expensive bike? Well, you know, bikes get stolen. Now, what Thies and Taco, these are two brothers, Thies and Taco Carlier, they founded Van Moof. And here you see the electrified S version. There in the middle, there is this little black thing on the frame. That's a little touch panel. You can see how far the battery is. In the middle of the frame, there's a GPS tracker. In the bottom, there's a battery, and the engine is in the front wheel. Now, when they launched this brand, they said, who's going to buy these bikes if they get stolen directly? We need to get an insurance in place. So they made up their own insurance, and they said, if you buy a bike from us, and it gets stolen, if it doesn't get returned to you by us in 2 weeks, you get a new bike. Well, that's interesting. That's how you get people in Amsterdam to buy outrageously expensive bikes. So it's interesting. The company took off, became very popular, so people from all over the world were starting to buy these bikes. Because also very cool, if you're into design, you see the headlight and the tail light and everything nicely integrated. There's even a lock inside the other tube and everything. Very well thought of, pretty advanced bikes. They're popular in Europe, they're popular in the Middle East, especially electric ones, and they're popular in the US. In the US, they did have a problem. Because if you ship bikes, how do you normally ship bikes? You take the steering wheel, you put it like this, you remove the pedals, and you put it in one large cardboard box. Now, has any one of you ever did an internship or anything at TNT, UPS, you name them, the forwarders of this world? Anyone has some? No forwarders in the room? Thought so. This is high tech, what we're talking about here. In general, forwarders don't really respect low tech. And I'm talking about the normal bike. This is a pretty high tech bike, but normal forwarders, they look a little bit like me. A bit overweight, a bit big and everything. Not so big, but anyway. And what they do if they see a bike, they grab the box and they throw the box. They throw the box into the container, into the ship, into the airplane, and finally also people's driveways. Result, the box gets damaged, but also the bike gets damaged. At a certain point in time, Van Moof had a return rate of 66% of these bikes. 66%. So that's an enormous return rate that directly kills your business model. That's when Taco Carlier thought, this is not going well. And he thought, who else is shipping stuff in large cardboard boxes which do arrive safely? What do you think? Televisions. Et voila! They just printed the television on it, and the returns dropped immediately by 88%. Problem solved. Because now these forwarders are like, whoa, that's a 80-inch OLED cinema, whatever, 5K, 8K, 19K displays. Careful, careful. Problem solved. Beautiful. Just taking the question, putting it a little bit higher on the abstraction ladder, and seeing in which other industry they've already solved this problem. Or that people are doing things differently with a similar thing. Now, I'm intrigued by these kind of things. My name is Ron Huggins, and as Omar nicely indicated already, I help companies to look outside their own domains, and I'm an idea DJ. I'm a Dutch guy living in beautiful Antwerp, Belgium, and that's also the largest border crossing ever. I've lived in Paris, I've lived in Munich, I've lived in Chiang Mai in Thailand. I'm coming to Belgium. But the problem was that I thought Belgium was similar to Holland. They speak Dutch, at least the top end of the Flemish part of Belgium speaks Dutch. So I just went in there thinking it was similar. It is totally not. Any Belgians in the room here? I love you already, even though you say, oh, I'm half Belgian. Now, some of my best friends are now Belgian, Flemish, but you need to get to know the country. It looks the same, but it's totally different. On the surface, it looks pretty similar in terms of language, but the processes and the way you interact, relationships, it's totally different. Now, I'm fascinated by this, and I love to travel. A few years ago, together with my wife Linda, we went traveling over the old Silk Road. And we did the Silk Road like this. We went into Turkey, and then all overland. The sport was not to use airplanes. So boats, trains, rickshaws, donkeys, motorcycles, Royal Enfields, crazy old Mercedeses, Uzbekistan, you name it. And we did this whole tour. We had to fly a few times because we hit a border, something that was not so easy to surpass. And finally we went back. This trip took 1.5 years. 1.5 years traveling overland. And that was a magical time because I went there also with a keen eye on research to learn how people in other countries and other cultures deal with similar challenges. I thought that would be nice for my book, for presentations, also to learn about how people see the same thing but draw different conclusions, or see different things and draw the same conclusions. So we had a lot of pictures. And if you combine urbanization with transport, you may get this. This is the outskirts of Tehran, the capital of Iran. 22 million people were living there at the time. A lot of people from the countryside are coming in to the capital. So the city is growing and growing and growing, and infrastructure cannot keep up with demand. So in this case here you see a mobile ATM, separate entrance, male, female, all thought of, satellites connected and everything. I even tried to put my card in there, it didn't work, it's closed off financial boycott system and everything. And I think also the easiest way ever to steal a truckload of money. I was just amazed. Huh? So this is how they deal with, they cannot open bank branches fast enough, so they just have mobile ATMs. I thought it was amazing. Now, if you combine here a little an invoice together with a lottery scratch cards, it brings you to China. Anyone here from China? All right, ni hao, very good. Now you probably know this system, that the tax office tries to get people, normal people that don't have an expense account or are not entrepreneurs, to ask for more receipts. The problem was private people are not really interested in receipts. And that's what restaurant owners love. If people don't ask for receipts, you can be very creative with your administration. Now, the Chinese tax office wanted to, let's say, bypass that a little bit, and they thought, what do Chinese people love to do? Chinese people love to gamble a little bit, right? They love to gamble? Of course. That's bad, huh? No. So they introduced the lottery scratch card. You see the little 2 gray areas there. If you scratch them open, you can win part of your money back. So en masse, everybody started to ask for receipts. Oh, that is not good for a creative accounting restaurant owner, huh? So they came up with a counteroffensive. They had a big basket full of little presents, and they would come up to someone. Can you take a present? There you go. The unwritten rule between this beautiful lady and me is now that she does not want a receipt because she took a present. Can be anything from a beer can opener to anything. And I was talking to one of these restaurant owners and I say, that's absolutely amazing, but how do you know that she's not from the tax office? And he says, I don't, but if that's the case, she gets 2 presents. So it's a cat and mouse game, huh? Now, and this is a few years ago, now the whole world in China is on WeChat, but we'll come to that in a moment, because this is already old stuff. But these are just the little kind of examples I love to collect while I'm traveling to see how different people, different organizations deal with similar challenges. And here we're trying to prevent fraud as well. We use advanced preemptive data analytics to detect fraud. We connect databases with things. This is also an elegant way. Oh, by the way, this is in Nepal. I think this is the most beautiful village ever. Opportunity village. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So, now, let's talk about ideas, because that's the reason why you're here. Who of you has good ideas? Sorry, let me try the question in English. Who of you has good ideas? I hope the majority, otherwise you can just go. Omar is not. You are here to have these good ideas. Who of you has bad ideas? Alright, everybody has bad ideas, that's good. Because you need a lot of bad ideas, shitty ideas, to have a few good ideas. That's okay. Who of you sometimes has a feeling it's tough to come up with new ideas? Yeah. Now, the reason why you feel that it's tough to come up with new ideas is because you're trying too hard. You should not see ideas as inventions. Of course, we would love, as researcher, scientists, we'd love to come up with a new version of graphene and get a Nobel Prize. We'd love to. Like we all love to go to space. Yes, maybe not everybody. Just 2 of you might not, the rest of course, for sure. But for the rest, might not get that brilliant idea. So inventions is tough. Elementary research is tough. But there is a world of fantastic ideas on the other side of this equation, and that is discoveries and combinations. And I cannot stress enough the importance of making sure that your mind is not just fixated on inventions. You should clearly figure out to do better research and combine ideas. There's a world to be won there, on multiple levels, on processes, on business models, on new businesses, on new space businesses, you name it, by just creatively combining and remixing ideas. That's why I'm introducing Idea DJ. I'm here to make you better idea DJs. You are already idea DJs. I'm here to make you even better. Now, my definition of an idea DJ is someone who creates impactful and beautiful combinations which add value. If you take out the add value, it's also fine, but then you create art. Art is for an audience. If you add value, it can be even larger for society, for business, environment. So impactful, they have meaning, and also beautiful. There's an element of elegance to that. It of course comes from DJs. Who of you has Spotify? Right, majority. Now Spotify, Airbnb, the Ubers of this world, they are the DJs of business assets, you would say. Who do you think makes most money? The singer-songwriter or the DJ? On average, huh? The DJ, for sure. In Holland, we have a cool DJ called Afrojack. Who knows Afrojack? He has his own airplane, the Afrojet. It's crazy. Which artists do you know that have their own plane? You. But if you look at percentage-wise, DJs make way more money than your average artist. Which is smart, because in many cases, DJs don't really produce. They say they're producing your music, but they just mix a few beats in, and they make a new mashup or a new remix, but they made that based on these components. Now that's interesting. So in business and in society, the world also needs more idea DJs. Because the world consists now of wicked problems. The problems and challenges that we face are so big that you cannot solve them with a single point solution. So you need to bring more elements into the mix. Hence, idea DJ. What is an idea DJ really good at? Mixing, of course. And how does an idea DJ mix? So you need to mix with the right balance. You can mix on strategy. You can say we need to run our operation and we need to explore what's next. Literally, for space as well. We need to run an operation to maintain our space agency, but we need to explore. Same thing for mindset, same thing for approach, same thing for attitude, and also for culture. And an idea DJ is really good at mixing, looking for the right balance per case. Now, I love to collect elegant solutions, because there are a lot of elegant solutions. And the beautiful combinations that an idea DJ makes is in the elegance. Who of you has ever driven in a BMW that had such a knob? Cool. And this is the iDrive from BMW, pretty clear, it comes from the gaming sector. BMW was looking for a way to navigate the internal multimedia system, so they looked at the gaming sector and implemented. The US military just launched their new line of submarines, and they were also looking for a way to navigate the periscopes. The periscopes are now digitalized, they have cost constraints and everything, so they decided to use Xbox controllers. And what they did as a backup system, they have about 10 of them in the rack. If one dies, they plug in a new one. That's their system. It's a very simple way, because otherwise they could have created a custom-based navigational toolkit or something. They just use something in this case from the gaming sector. I think these are really cool little examples. Here another one, conveyor belt. You all know the conveyor belts here, and there's a conveyor belt in a sushi restaurant. Do you know where conveyor belts came from? Airport? Yeah, where did the airport steal them from? Factories, right. Who was the first person to implement a conveyor belt in a factory? Ford, very good. Where did Ford steal it from? Nice, that is where it's only is. He had an internship. It's good, eh? You're here all summer, which is great, courageous. It's hot outside, it's hot inside you. But it's cool that you learn from as many different areas as possible. Henry Ford did the same thing. He had an internship at the meat packing districts. And he just put a big cadaver or a deer or a cow or something, and they put them on these large S-shaped hooks and push them through to the next one, which slides them open and does all kinds of crazy stuff with it. And that's when he thought, hey, that's a smart system. If I take that, flip it around, put an engine to it, voila, the conveyor belt in the factory, and now we see them virtually everywhere. And it's interesting, because technology jumps from sector to sector pretty easily. We see that now as well, Internet of Things, big data, augmented reality. It jumps, if Omar just said it, if it's available in one sector, it's now virtually by the internet available in all sectors. The question is how these things are used. One more, we're here, it's aeronautics, aviation. The baby stroller means landing gear. You see the landing gear of an airplane. It's modeled to how a bird lands. So you see here the claw of a nice eagle landing on a tree, so that's where landing gear comes from. Owen McLaren was a Spitfire engineer under the Second World War. He had a he had a daughter. His daughter had another daughter, so Owen McLaren had a granddaughter living in New York, but it was very cumbersome taking this big basket in the airplane, flying to London to Owen and everything. So he used his knowledge of retractable landing gear to create the first foldable baby stroller. Ladies and gentlemen, $1 billion business. Impressive. Now, idea DJs are masters of cross-industry innovation. What is cross-industry innovation? It's actually a low-risk, high-reward approach to innovation. A few easy examples. In retail, bol.com, who of you knows bol.com? A few. It's one of the, let's say, it's the Alibaba, Amazon, but then here for Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands kind of thing. And what bol.com does is open up their marketplace for other retailers, which is really interesting, because if you are a little web shop, you can now use their platform, their ecosystem, to sell your products. It's a counterintuitive strategy, but very successful. And also bol.com as a platform generates way more revenue than that. In photography, Fujifilm, in the old days they would make pictures on lamination, but now they went fully into medical imaging and advanced lamination in other areas. Same thing for leisure, Airbnb. Who of you has ever used Airbnb? Alright, you all have. Very good. Automotive, of course, it's a classical one. Multiple brands, same chassis, same engines. Artificial intelligence. A Japanese insurance firm just fired 34 people with AI, so you will see that happening way more. And also in telecom, GiveGap, that's Scottish for mutual giving. It's a network run by customers. So customers do the installation of other people's phones. Customers do the billing of other people's invoicing and looking up into the system what's wrong or anything. By doing that, you can earn credits for new mobile phones, for new calling minutes, but you can also earn money with this. This is a network run by its own customers. GiveGap is a virtual mobile operator run by 25 people, servicing over more than 4 million customers. Mind-boggling. Now, these are cool examples, and I love to collect these kind of things. With cross-industry innovation, I focus on 3 things: strategy, attitude, and tools. So leadership, HR, and business, and new innovation kind of projects. And we do skill development on that, on all levels. Yeah. I've written a book on that, Omar just said it. So who of you has a brilliant example of cross-industry innovation or anything, come to me and you'll get a book. I love to do this in practice. I was at a big energy company a few years ago, and we did a project because they said we need to manage our, in this case, gas-fired power plants with a smaller team of people. So we went out with the whole team to investigate how it runs. In the old days, how many people do you think you need to run a whole power plant? With 7, let's say, burners to power, let's say, 20% of the Netherlands. How many people do you think normally run around with a power plant? 1,000 could be. Any other guesses? Few hundred, correct. 350 to be exact. With how many people do you do it today? 20? That's close. It's 9 actually. 3 people. In 3 shifts of 8 hours, so it's 9 people for a whole day. And they have in the middle of the country a helicopter with a special task team, kind of SWAT team, but then the tools and everything, and they fly with the helicopter to where they are needed. Now, so you need to have more effective and reduced workforce. With a team, we went out to investigate, and I had to wear helmets and look at pipes and everything, and I love looking at cool technical stuff. So we thought, who else, in what other sectors, is a very small team, highly skilled, managing a large, complex technical installation? Shoot. Oil and gas, yeah, for sure. Huh? So, branding platforms. Yeah, what else? Spacecraft, yeah, very good. Air traffic control, cool. Anything more? Mining, yeah. Food and beverage, and which part of food and beverage? Anything that's processed. Yeah, true, right? Yeah, true. Yeah, a little factory probably, and cooling cells and everything. Absolutely right. Bringing it pretty close to your business here. Of course, the International Space Station. Very small crew, managing a large, complex technical installation. These people, polar expeditions. Small crew, managing a large, complex environment, and also, in this case, literally responsible for their own power supply. And these things, submarines. Due to budget reasons, we could not visit the first 2 ones, French, but we did manage to visit one of these things here from the Royal Navy in the Netherlands, and what we learned there from the communications officer of this submarine was how they do incident management. They say we also have 24-hour shifts and everything, and once something is beeping or a pipe is leaking or something, we log that into a pretty advanced spreadsheet with macros and everything. And the project leader of this energy company was really interested, and finally the communications officer just did Control A on the spreadsheet, wiped out the spreadsheet, and mailed the spreadsheet to the team managing the power plants, and since that day on, these power plants are managed by a spreadsheet from the military. This is just a little cool example, the only example which is not under a stupid non-disclosure agreement, but the other cool stuff, we're not allowed to talk about. So crazy. So you have to do a cool spreadsheet, okay? Now, the digital age gives an enormous amount of opportunities for transferring, for disruption. You can decide to remix your own industry or remix another industry. And to do that, you need to require a little bit of imagination. So it looks a little bit like this, bit of imagination. Now, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. If you have pen and paper, write them down immediately. If you are just a brilliant mind, make a mental note. I'm just going to ask you 3 questions. I want you to write down or note down the answer immediately. Are you ready? Nearly. I'm nearly. Pretty simple, 3 questions, 3 answers. Don't give me the answer, just note it down somewhere. Are you ready? Yes. Alright, very good. The only thing I ask you to do is to give me a wrong answer. Wrong answer to the question, what's the capital of Belgium? Write it down. Second question, wrong answer, the number of 3D printing startup companies in Europe. Wrong answer. Last question, the color of my mother's car. My mother, still alive, she has a car. What's the color? Right? First question, really simple. Who accidentally filled in Brussels? Your answer. Brussels. No, one was the wrong answer. Just kidding. Yeah. So not Brussels. So who of you filled in Antwerp? Ah, yeah, that's my subliminal marketing from Antwerp working. Very good. Who of you filled in Amsterdam, Delft, their own home city? Yeah, I see about a lot. Very good. Second question. Who of you accidentally filled in 25,251? No. Who of you took a very low number? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? -4. Brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. Who of you said 3 trillion or billion or something? There's ambition. Very good. Last question, very simple. What did you fill in?
Turquoise.
Turquoise.
Gold.
Gold.
Yellow. Red.
Red. Great. All right. International Space University, huh? Academics, huh? All right. We need to go back to the basics, ladies and gentlemen. Statistics. I ask you a simple question. I want a wrong answer. If on the last question you fill in a color, there is a statistic probability that you are, and I want you to be
Wrong.
So, Brussels, 24,000, laptop, coffee, would have been beautiful wrong answers to the last question. But our mind is totally blocked in context. So in the first question, it's simple. Your mind dives into the bucket of, let's say, capitals of Europe, capitals in general, large cities, whatever. You know the right answer, so you pick a beautiful wrong answer. Second question, you think, what? The number 3D printing startups in Europe, absolutely no idea. It can be hundreds, thousands. So I go very low, 1, 2, 3, 4, -4, whatever. But very low number. Wrong, very good. And then your mind is lazy, because it's easy to solve the first two. The first one you know the exact answer, the rest one you know an area in your brain you should not be in. And the third question, you're a bit confused. Does he still have a mother? Does she really own a car? If it's a car, who has a big car these days? Anyway, your mind is a little bit lazy and just selects A answer. Well, actually here, the only way to survive this question was to jump out of context and go somewhere else. But our mind is trained to look for the answers in the context that we ask the question. So the only way to survive this, to jump on this third level to another area, is to help your brain a little bit. And therefore we need tools. So then you're like, if you really think this is an unsolvable problem, if you really think about it, statistic probability, there's something wrong here. So we need to make another connection. And in this case, you actually need to break the connection between contexts. Now, I'm going to take you through 4 building blocks that help shape your remix strategy. 4 building blocks. First of all, your best ideas come from outside. Secondly, you need to create a cool combination, not just any combination. Thirdly, don't copy-paste, it makes absolutely no sense. And finally, you need to rock experiments. Alright, here we go. Your best ideas come from outside. Many sectors have a tunnel vision, literally. It's like you're in the sector or you're not. Many sectors are defined by their TLAs, the 3-letter acronyms. If you know what the TLA means, you're in. If you have absolutely no idea, you're from outside. So let's test that a little bit. Who of you knows what an ERP is? What is that?
Enterprise resource planning.
No, it's erotic role play. Nice one. Who of you knows what a CRM is?
I got the wrong one. Customer relationship management.
No. In aviation, it's crew resource management. That is how you plan pilots management. So you see, from sector to sector, you start to use the same words, and you can have hilarious conversations if someone wants to implement an ERP system or something. So you can have incredible, beautiful conversations with someone, also in partnerships and everything, that makes absolutely no sense, because you're talking like this. And you can keep on talking like that. Everyone of you who has been in a relationship, you know what I'm talking about. Now, many sectors have this sector tunnel vision, and whatever you have, we just named it cross-industry innovation, but you could also say cross-department innovation, cross-discipline, cross-domain, cross-section, cross-region, cross-silo, whatever. The key is that we have a blurring of boundaries. Virtually all sector borders are becoming more opaque, and more things are coming in and also flowing out. So it looks a little bit like this. Everything is connected. Once I was in Houston a few years ago with Omar, and they beautifully phrased it. We are going to Mars, and this is a true cross-industry venture, because we're literally taking all sectors from Earth to Mars. We need clothing, we need food, we need water supply, we need machinery. We're virtually taking everything. Now, then it's also important to see that disruption often comes from outside your own classical sector. A few examples. Here we see a horse and carriage, a candle, and a beautiful old English UK style post box. What do these 3 have in common? They're old, for sure. What else? Yeah, also? Yeah, they still exist, but marginally. Yeah, sure, something to transport as well.
Yeah, electronic counterparts.
They for sure have electronic counterparts, yeah. They've all been replaced by our modern counterparts. So automobiles, self-driving electrical cars, electric lights and now LED lighting, email, and now, Snapchat or WeChat, whatever. So you see, easy, technology progresses. But that's not the key learning of this image. The key learning is that at that time, they were all market leader in their specific segments. And none of them went to invest or transform in the thing that became new. None of the candle makers went into producing electric lights. None of the carriage makers went into producing cars. And the post office certainly did not invent email, nor strategically invest in it. Now, many companies now are trying to prevent these kind of mistakes, because the market leaders now, they all have some kind of venture capital arm or something. So that's interesting. So this is classical disruption, and digital disruption very often comes from outside your sector. And before you know it, your product or service is a fossil. A beautiful fossil. You have a little joke there, and you know what? Maybe you're too young. You know what that is? All right, very good. If you ask young children now, because there's this little joke flying around saying, "Hey, Dad, wow, you 3D printed the save icon." So, cool stuff. Huh? Someone came up with a diskette, 3D printed the save icon. Anyway, industry boundaries are clearly blurring. If you would drive an Audi, who do you drive an Audi? All right, very good. There you are again. Which color? Which color? Oh, good. Very good. Audi now has strategically reinvented itself, and they no longer define themselves as being in the automotive sector. They are now in the healthcare sector. And they say, our new concept is my Audi cares for me. They see the car as an augmented extension of the human body to protect humans while traveling. Now, if you redefine yourself in your business in being in more healthcare and safety, then it's interesting to see where you would make strategic investments. Now, here we get to WeChat. Who of you does not know what WeChat is? All right, talk to your Chinese friends and you'll be there. WeChat, I cannot stress the importance of WeChat. Because WeChat, the icon and the color look like WhatsApp. Very good. So, yeah, for sure, it's WhatsApp. But it's also Facebook, and it's a payment engine on steroids. Let me repeat this. It's WhatsApp, Facebook, and a payment engine on steroids. And if you want to know the impact, talk to your Chinese friends here, because they will explain to you how important WeChat is for the world in terms of transactions, for how we buy things, how we navigate things. The only region where Apple's market share is declining is China. Why? Because the classical operating system war is no longer relevant there. Who of you has an Android phone? All right, who of you has an iPhone, iOS device? Very good, that's about 50-50. Very good, so you see the classical things there. In China, it's no longer relevant. Because in China, WeChat is the operating system. It's one app you launch, you hardly leave it. The interface is virtually similar on both phones. Facebook tries to do that as well, but WeChat is way better at that. Now, to give you a little example here, if you want to pay something in China, try to pay with RMB these days. That's tough. The only thing you get is this thing, QR codes. In the West here, we just use them for logistical processes, but in China, you use them for payments. And you can choose here, you can use Alipay or the other one. This person does not accept cash money anymore. So you come there, and I just want to buy some vegetables. And I pick up some RMBs, and this guy said, "Oh, what? No. Use your phone, sir." And it directly goes to his account. So you scan the code, the payment is directly, that's it. It's even so advanced that, of course, then people stop carrying cash money, which is a problem if you're a beggar on the street. So beggars also need to update themselves, and that's what it looks like. And this thing. Look, that's an incredible new reality. How we totally, I cannot stress enough, we totally underestimate the impact of WeChat. Do my Chinese friends agree? Yeah, of course. Because this is absolutely learn from China, ladies and gentlemen. Go there. Now, would you buy a car on WeChat? Who would buy a car on WeChat? Still not convinced, huh? Not even the Chinese. This is crazy. Okay. Now, here's Becky Lee. She's a very popular fashion blogger. And she made a deal with BMW to sell a few exclusive cars, beautiful minis, and they were sold out in 5 minutes. Now that is incredible, huh? Who else sells out cars in 5 minutes? Hey, yeah, maybe Elon Musk or someone who puts a ridiculously low pricing on things, but this was pretty normal pricing for a car, and it was sold out in 5 minutes. It's an impressive sales channel. fascinated by these kind of things and also fascinated by things that we can learn from other areas. If you want to take, who of you wants to do time travel? Who of you would love to, we all want to go to space, who of you wants to go time travel? Very good. Simple advice, go to China. You go into the future, especially about the region Shenzhen and everything. See what's happening there. Augmented reality. This is a little place in Iceland where they painted these things on the road to make people hold their car a little bit. So this is then, of course, a physical version, but it looks augmented. But the reality is now like this. We are slowly going to step away from the stupid maps that we need to mentally figure out where this line is going to just seeing through the phone. And then at a certain point in time, and Apple's already working very hard, is to remove this whole white frame around it. So we only have a panel, whatever it is. And it will finally become a glass thing or something. Because the ability that we now have with an AR kit, one of those development kits that you can do 3D measuring with, and pretty exact these days. So you see here a very simple basic ruler app. It's I can again not overstate, like with WeChat, the importance that we're going to have with augmented reality in repairing the International Space Station to anything that we will be building, creating, and repairing. Now, the problem is with technology and data is that also the human fallacy is that we normally add stuff. Augmented reality, we start to come up because the technology is there, we start to come up with new shit. Literally. So the key what technology should do is make things simple again. But it's not so easy to make things simple again. Because at the end of the day, all integration will be done by APIs, application programming interfaces, everything connected to everything, but then also things will go wrong. Sometimes very wrong. Let me This is a Dutch insurance company playing into this whole Internet of Things, connected environment. Really funny, but it's about partnerships and it's about transparency. If we talk about mission critical systems, we need to have transparency, knowing where things go wrong to immediately act upon that. So you have ecosystems and you need to go to ecosystems. A beautiful picture by Austin Freon. Now, you must have heard about blockchain, right? You all know blockchain, right? Who of you really knows what blockchain is about? Now, let's go into that a little bit. We've already established that your thinking system here is pretty fast, correct, context dependable, we already saw it with the 3 questions, and also lazy. People are lazy. If they can figure out a solution to do something without too much effort, and here's the engineering version. So believe me, people are lazy. Engineers are very lazy. Programmers are even more lazy because they just steal code and make something new. Okay, we're going to do a little interactive exercise. So Omar asked me this to be interactive. He asked you to stand up. Very good. Shake around and do a movement. Count along with me, please. 5 plus 5 is? 10. Very good. 12 plus 12 is? is this? Let's do this again. This is? Very good. Plus 40 is? Plus 1,000 is? Plus 30 is? Plus 1,000 is? Plus 20 is? Plus 1,000 is? Plus 10 is? Ooh. I could have sworn the majority of you said 5,000. What happens in your brain? So take a moment to sit down and digest this. What happens in your brain is I seduce your brain to So you take this data set and you extrapolate, like Excel. And your mind doesn't really pay attention. And this is exactly what blockchain tries to prevent, is to do a data verification check. Because in many cases, your mind feels like this, that you're blocked. The key is to know how to break out, use tools, and to know where to look. Now, you can look at our companies, you can look at our areas, you can look at history, future, sports, you name it. So if you look at other companies, let's take an example. Who of you has a Netflix account? Very good. So we all love Netflix. Now, Netflix cool, so they check download sites to see what's popular, to see what they should buy or do anything. That's a cool approach. They also have a very good approach to cybersecurity. They call that the Netflix stethoscope. There he is, beautiful stethoscope and a giraffe. What is this whole lump of text about? Netflix thinks that their people are all, many of them academics, well-thinking, rational people, so they just inform them. Instead of enforcing security policies, they just give them a dashboard saying, these are your devices, make sure that you check whether they're up to date or not, and have people take their own decisions when to update or to change something. And that's an incredible sign of trust, and also incredible, let's say, modern way of looking at security. Instead of Microsoft kind of policies and enforcing all kind of crazy things, if you ask people to change their passwords multiple times a year, the general quality of the password goes down, because people get tired, they take easier passwords because you've bugged every time. So if you're asked 5 times in a year to change your password, you're busy, you're doing cool stuff, you just make it Brussels or something, Brussels 21, if you're very creative or something. And then it's easy hackable. So it's a very smart thing. Now, normally people would not really directly look at Netflix to learn about IT security. The key is to see that from many companies you can learn on multiple levels. You can learn on products and services for sure, but it becomes way more interesting if you look at processes, business models, partnership, leadership. So your galaxy of knowledge increases in value if you go deeper into this area. Now, your galaxy of knowledge looks a little bit like this. You have your own knowledge, your team's knowledge, your company's knowledge, competitive industry's knowledge. It becomes interesting here, non-competitive industry's knowledge, old known knowledge, and then it becomes more philosophical, new knowledge that we should create still. Now, the book I've written, it's called Not Invented Here, indicating the psychological effect that someone else has already solved or is working on your problem. The problem is you don't really see it. Why? Your ego, you're trying to solve it yourself. Again here, you should go from ego to Lego. To really see what you're doing as a pile of Lego, to deconstruct it, throw a few bricks away, grab bricks from another bucket and build something up again. So we need to go from ego to Lego, and then the world looks like this. Now, not invented here. There's a little not invented here readiness check for organizations in the book. We zoom in, it looks a little bit like this. You can scratch off these things in all kinds of innovation meetings. Hey, yes, but we're too big for that. It's too simple. That's a lot of academics love to say that. It's too simple. So it will probably not work. Crazy. No, you need to look out for the idea killers. So idea killers is everything people are going to say to you when you have a great idea. People are going to try to, let's say, save you from losing face while presenting this idea to other people. So they're just going to help you by saying it's a shitty idea. Don't talk about it anymore. Now, I have a little toolkit for you. It's this little card. It's a beer coaster, so that's from drink afterwards. On the one side we have idea killers. On the other side we have idea boosters. So if you come up with a crazy idea, instead of saying, yeah, but it won't work or something, now say, hey, interesting, let's test that out. So I brought this little toolkit for you. Take one and pass the rest around. There you go, a little bit of cooperative exercise. In the meantime, with the rest, we're going to talk about these kind of ideas, also pictures. At a certain point in time, if you want to go to space, you need to pitch your idea. If you want to solve the little challenges or the big challenges here in the Space Studies program, you need to pitch something. The problem is, if we pitch ideas, people don't judge ideas. What do people judge? People judge people. What else do people judge? Results, yeah, clothing, food, everything, yeah, except the idea. People judge everything except the idea. Because first, they judge people. First of all, when I started presenting here, you didn't judge my slide, you judged me. That is the little bold Dutch guy, that's what you judge. How did you get a shirt guy? This kind of thing. That's what you judge. Yeah, you all have a shirt in your bag. People judge presentation. Does he have cool slides? Oh, that's probably marked here. Does he have a big PowerPoint or technical installation? That's what you judge. Some people judge spreadsheets. Some people judge business plans. Some people judge cool presentations. And lastly, and that's most important, people do not judge ideas. People judge their idea of an idea. And that's where we mess up many times. Many times you have already a preconceived notion of what this person is going to say to you. So instead of really listening what's happening, you've already judged your own, with your limited amount of imagination, what this other person is going to say. And that's where this card is going to help you. So I'm introducing here the 3-minute rule. Next time, if someone comes up with a totally crazy idea, give them 3 minutes. So there's also little shields to protect you. 3 minutes to come up, or to really explain what it's about, and afterwards you can still throw them out the door. But at least give them 3 minutes. So you can go past judging the person, judging the presentation, and your idea of what this person is saying. Alright, the first one, toolkit. Now, ideas look outside. Second secret, you need to create cool combinations. What is a cool combination? It's a combination that adds value. There's a few cool things. So here, if you buy a television set, you can directly store something on it. A nesting box there for wine. A cupboard that automatically reverts into a staircase. A shoe and sandal, and also the biscuit kits or the milk thing. So these are elegant combinations, smart combinations. The problem is, we got into many combinations. Any random combination makes no sense. Random is too random, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you take several Lego bricks, you already have more than 85 billion possible combinations. Makes no sense. So we need to be more directed in our efforts. How do we do that? We use tools. On the website, and also the SSP team is going to send you my slides and some links that you can download all these free tools, is that you can use these tools to really break through your context, your thinking. One tool is the business synonym method. When you think it through, what does it look like? It looks like this. You take the same image but put different meaning to it, or you take the same word and put different meaning to it. If we take the word customer, maybe here you have a customer in retail, a customer in taxi, so that's a passenger, and here it's more like the situation we're here in students. On the meta level, these are the same things. A customer, a passenger, and a student. But they act in different areas, in different sectors, so the processes and the business models around it are totally different. While in the essence, it's the same thing. And some other companies see their customers as this, and it's an EAN, it's a unique number where they can send an invoice to. That's it. That's customer. Now we can play with that. If you come up with as many possible synonyms of the word customer, you can replace them in your core question and swap out things to bring in insights from other sectors. What does it look like? It looks like this. Customer, client, consumer, student, patient, shopper, buyer, stakeholder, end user, blah, 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 supplier, complainant, payment, you name it. Now, Using this list, and you can find another list in the book or on the internet, doesn't matter. You take a generic question, a very simple question, how can we get more customers to visit our store? You take the word customer, the word visit, and the word store. If you then list the synonyms for these words, and then solve through them, you will see that you can make totally new connections. How can we get more investors to stay at our warehouse? How can we get more students to go to the app? How can we get more stakeholders to reside in our silo? If you do that on a meta level, these things are the same, but you get influxes from other contexts. So finally you can ask yourself, how can we do this for ourselves? So how can we get more people to visit the International Space Station? You name it. You need to see that in essence there are way more connections than you directly see. And this also makes sure that you go with your combinations from a plus to an X factor. So you need to find that X factor. There are many different ways on how you can do that. Many people use the roulette system. They just combine randomly. But roulette is not the right way. Don't do the roulette system. You should do the jackpot. How does the jackpot work? Very simple. Again, a free tool on the website, cross-industry jackpots. You fill in your activity you want to innovate on. On the left side, you have proven types. On the right side, you have proven appliances. And I've done it for a few items here. Here's life sciences. So you have all-in-one life sciences app, a real-time life sciences shop, customized life sciences offering, and the list goes on and on. What do we have here? Energy storage is nice. You can do it, and also this link will be sent to you. So you can combine these things with proven types and proven components. And IDEAs are really good at mixing with the proven components. Now, the key is to see that you can combine on multiple levels. And finally, you need to see that, here we go, that you need to create cool combinations. One example of a cool combination is here. Who of you uses Shazam? Cool, huh? What are they good at? What is Shazam good at?
Advertising.
Very good, yeah. Pattern recognition. They do it on music, Apple just bought them, but they're actually really good at pattern recognition in the widest sense of the world. And MIT just came out with a new version of using the Shazam algorithm to detect stuff that's going wrong in cars. They use a microphone in a car, based on the sounds, they can hear, hey, you're firing only 3 of the 4 cylinders, your left tire is slipping. So they're already using these kind of pattern recognition things to do early detection. So that's interesting stuff to see what you do there. So idea DJs create cool combinations. Now, thirdly, don't copy paste. Copy paste looks like this. That's cool. This stuff, these two guys, girls. Now, I was in Vietnam, and there I took this picture. This is when you would start to copy paste and get this one. Maybe you want to buy original Nikes or Adidas or something. No, don't copy paste, ladies and gentlemen. Rather, copy adapt paste. Copy take one element paste, copy an additional paste. So that's the way you can learn and see what you can take from another area. One example here, the eye care hospital in Rotterdam wanted to make their operating rooms more efficient, and they thought, who else is already doing a high throughput on a, let's say, technical, complex environment with high safety regulations and everything, and they went to look at Schiphol Airport. They envisioned the airplanes and also the baggage cars and the food coming in as the same things they have in an operating room, where stuff comes in, materials come in, patients go in, high throughput, and they actually learned by using the same kind of markings on the floor, parking positions for tools and material. So using the same kind of instructions from the airline sector into healthcare. I love these kind of examples. And the eye care hospital in Rotterdam is very famous for learning from all these companies. Now again, you can do it on these multiple levels, and it's important to not just copy the what. The what might be interesting, but not in many cases, so don't focus too much on the what. Focus on how other companies are doing stuff. And you can learn a lot from all kinds of different areas. Ask a farmer, not Google. It's a beautiful quote. You have the website Ask Nature, based on biomimicry. Every engineer should be aware of this, of course. And Ask Nature, you can just ask a question, and then how Nature does efficient routing, and you get an answer. How it does mobile conversation, and you get ideas from nature. There's a whole industry focusing on converting ideas from nature. Now, don't just copy, adapt, paste, and you need to steal like an artist. What does it look like? If you're going to learn from somewhere else, do it like this. You have good theft and bad theft. Bad theft is to degrade something or to just skim the surface. You need to study something. If you steal from one source, it's plagiarism. If you steal from many, it's research. And that's very important. Don't steal from one copy area, just steal from many, and we call it research. So don't make a ripple, but remix stuff. So again, don't copy paste, copy, adapt, paste. And lastly, the last item I'd like to take you through before we head to rock your experience. Sometimes what you come up with doesn't work. And then you need to go back to the drawing board. So if you have a good idea, you get profits or value in whatever way, and otherwise back to the drawing board. Now, experiments. It doesn't always work out what you have envisioned. So you need to test stuff. In the European Union, they wanted to convince the European Union not to allow genetically modified corn in Europe. In the US, that's okay. In Europe, that's a bit of a thing. So one of the cases they also presented, outside of all kinds of research papers, was this little picture. They installed 2 corns there, genetically modified and organic, and they came back after a week and said, this is what animals did with it. It's a pretty compelling argument if you see who is actually eating it. Nice sensory thing. Now, if you want to innovate, there is risk because you're going to try something new. So to innovate stuff, you need to reduce your risk aversion. By definition, people are risk averse. This person is pretty safe, he has a backup system. Who of you has ever made a mistake? Very good, good one. Now, in many cases, many organizations are a bit organized like this. So it's an overkill of risk management and blah, 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 stuff on there. We need to look at ideas, but we also need to look at the risk a little bit more fine-grained. You have 3 types of mistakes. You have preventable mistakes, complexity-related, and intelligent mistakes. Preventable is easy. If there would be a cable here, a power cable or something, I could trip over. Normally, these cables are then taped before or something. It's a preventable mistake. Preventable mistakes, you train people for that. Complexity-related mistakes, implement a large software system or something, send a rocket to the moon or something. There are bound to be complexity-related mistakes. You cannot prevent them, you can only manage these kinds of mistakes. So that's what you need to manage. And last thing is the intelligent mistake. And the intelligent mistake is somewhere between failure and success. And I call that errorism, the terror of error. Errorism is that we define the world as pretty binary, 0 or 1, where 1 is success, 0 is failure. Actually, if it's not 1, it's all an error, a fail, a mistake, and there is a stigma to it. Loser. You are absolutely a loser if you make mistakes and things. So, if it's not 1, it's all 0, and that's a problem. Because 0 is doing nothing. 0 should be 0. Doing nothing makes no sense. We need to test and try a few things, but they cannot all directly become 1. So what happens? We need to jump to 0.3, 0.5, 0.9, but there's no good English or Dutch word for that. In a moment there is. And we call that the nearly. It comes from nearly. It's something new that you did with the right intentions, which has not yet led to the right result. So here it is, a nearling. Now you need many nearlings for a few successes, and as we're nearly heading for the bar, I brought even more beer coasters for you, and you have the half of the full set, so that's going to be nice time. The definition is on here, and also the learnings from what you should do, because the most important thing about your nearlings is to acknowledge that they're there, and to share them. In a moment we'll be sharing a beer in the bar, and that's when the best stories come up. Because that's when people say, oh man, we messed this up, this calculation went wrong, I had these wrong assumptions, and blah, 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 blah. So this is how we should deal with failure. Yeah! You're absolutely ready for bar, you guys. So nearling, It's pretty simple. If you alliterate a little bit and put the L where the N goes and the N there, they have a learning. And if you take the L out, you have an earning. Now, bad decisions make great stories. And I'd like to wrap up with that we can only connect the dots that we collected. I tried to give you as many dots as possible to send you all the materials. I'd like to conclude your remix strategy to become an even better idea DJ. 4 building blocks. Your best ideas come from outside. Secondly, you need to create cool combinations, go from plus to X. Don't copy paste, but copy adapt paste, and experiment. Learn from your nearings. And use all kinds of free tools available for you to really jump out of your context. And with that, I thank you for your attention. Questions in the bar? Or
Yeah, questions?
Questions here? No, everybody is using the vehicles and also like this. That's beautiful to see.
All right, there will be a reception. After this one here, we're going to go to the sports bar, a courtesy of by some of the local community here. So that's
You